Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Have you ever wanted a way to play your physical Game Boy, Game Boy Color, or Game Boy Advance games through your computer? How about a way to back up your save files before you do a battery replacement? Well, I picked up the Epilogue GB Operator to do just those things. Let's take a closer look at it and I'll give you my impressions as well as some ideas that I think could make this product even better. But before we begin, if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't yet, consider subscribing. That's the best way to let me know you enjoyed this. Now let's get started. So the GB Operator comes with everything you need to hook it up to your computer. It has a USB A to C cable, which is nice that it uses USB-C, because I already had a C cable that I could just plug it into and I really didn't have to use their cable. It doesn't need an extra power cord, it just pulls all the power directly off a USB. Now there's a rubber bottom on the device that would keep it from sliding around, or maybe a heavy cable from pulling it off of a desk, so I really like that. You don't have to worry about it falling off of a table and maybe damaging your cartridge. I really like the clear plastic that this is made out of. You get to see the electronics inside. I always like that type of style. And it also helps the fact that this has a power LED on it, and so you can see that very clearly through the case. Overall, this is very sturdy and it just feels like a quality product. So when you first start the software and you don't have the device connected, it searches for it, but as soon as you plug it in, it pops up and prompts you to insert a cartridge. So when you insert a cartridge, it comes up and shows you the box art for the cartridge. Now I'm not sure where they're pulling this information from, because here, as you can see, it's showing the Japanese Tetris, which really didn't match the one that I had exactly, but I guess it's close enough. Now for the emulator here, you have the ability to select which controller that you want to use if you have multiple ones hooked up, and then you can bind the keys to your controller. So let's start up Tetris here and try it out. The emulation looks great on this, the controller feels responsive and quick. I mean, this is Tetris, so it's not the most complicated game, but overall I feel really pleased with the feel of this. So if you're one of those old school Tetris fans, this is a great way to play what was one of the most popular games on the Game Boy. And something I do want to point out, that when you start a game, this LED changes color as it looks like it's dumping the ROM probably into memory, and the larger the game is, the longer this will take. So next I wanted to try out a Game Boy Advance game, and so I tried out the Final Fantasy collection here. And one thing to note is that it did take quite a while for this cartridge to dump to memory. Now this is a pretty large size cartridge. I don't know if this would go any faster if I had it hooked up at USB 3, because I was using USB 2. But one good note is that once it's dumped it, it's got it in memory, and if you play it again, it'll just immediately start. This game seemed to play just fine. No issues with the video, no issues with the sound. The controller seemed very responsive, so I was really pleased with this. I really spent a lot of time playing this game, so it's kind of nice to be able to put this in and continue the save that I already have. When you go to exit a game, if the game supports saves, it will then prompt you whether or not you want to overwrite the save. So basically, the save is written to the cartridge. If you hit cancel, then it's not written to the cartridge. So you got to make sure that if you are playing the game and want to keep your progress, you need to hit the save. Now another really cool feature is that you can dump the ROM to your system. Now I'm not sure if you'd be able to play this then on another emulator. I know a lot of ROMs have some copy protection stuff in them that you might have to account for. Now, the FAQ on the website mentions that if you have a flash cart, you can use this to read and write a ROM off of the flash cart. But probably what you would use more is the ability to save the save state on the cartridge. So you can export that out to a file, and then if you maybe replace the battery on the system, you've got a backup of it, and you can rewrite that to the cartridge. While testing the cartridges that I had, I did run into a couple of issues. One, I've got pinball, and the rumble support did not work in that. Now, when you look on their website, they actually say that's something that's being worked on, so it's good that they recognize that doesn't work just yet. The other issue is I did have one cartridge that was not recognized by the software. Now, they've got an option here to report the cartridge, but all it does is take you to a website that just gives an email address and the information they would like for you to email them. So before I give my final thoughts, I just want to point out a couple of things. One, I couldn't test out the Game Boy camera support. So the software is supposed to be able to pull the pictures off of the camera, which is really cool, and I would love to try that out once I ever get a camera. I also couldn't test the counterfeit detection because I didn't have any counterfeit cartridges, but I did have a multi-flash cart that didn't work as expected because they even say on their website that those type of carts aren't supported. Now, I only tested on Windows, but this supports Mac and Linux as well. Their software is still a beta and doesn't have any emulator or device settings that you can change, so hopefully that'll be something they'll add soon. And twice during my testing, I completely lost my keyboard on my computer. I had to reboot the whole thing. No, I didn't try unplugging the keyboard, plugging it back in, but it stopped responding completely. Now, some things I would like to see improved or added on is, one, I would love to see a mobile app that doesn't necessarily need to play the games, but being able to use the features like the counterfeit detection or the ability to back up the saves or dump the ROM would be really nice if, say, you were going to go to a show and buy some cartridges and you weren't sure if they're real or not. It'd be a good way to portably test them and find out if they work, and two, are they counterfeit or not. I'm also not sure where they're getting their database for the ROMs from, because the fact that it didn't detect one of mine seems kind of off. Now, there's lots of databases out there for the Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance that has CRC information, all that, and this doesn't seem to be pulling from that, so it might be something they want to look at. It would also be nice to have maybe an auto-save to cart function in the software, so like say if you're playing the game, you can tell it to dump the save to the cart like maybe every minute or so. That way you don't have to worry about losing it if, say, the software crashes. If you don't have that option, it might be nice to have it just automatically save and not ask you. At least give you the ability to turn on that function. And for that matter, it would be good if there was a way just to save while you're playing the game, and you wouldn't necessarily have to quit the software in order to save to the cartridge. There also doesn't seem to be a full screen mode, which isn't a real big deal, and the fact that you're dealing with Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance graphics, they're not that detailed. But it would be nice to get rid of the menu and just have a full screen. Now, some of the pros of this, obviously, is the emulation's great. I didn't have any issues with any of the games that I played through. There may be some out there. If there are, drop me a comment and let me know. I think the fact that the game is dumped into memory only one time per session is not that big of a deal. If you have a large game like I did with the Final Fantasy, it may take it a minute, but if I stop and then start again without closing the software, it just keeps it in memory and I don't have to reload it again. But I think the biggest reason why I bought this is the ability to dump my saves to a file and then being able to rewrite them. I've had several cartridges that the batteries are wearing out and I want to replace them, but I really don't want to lose my save. So this is an awesome way to keep that save that you may have sunk 40 hours into, and you really don't want to lose that. So overall, this device is well worth the $50 that it is. You're able to play any of the games that I tried, and being able just to back up your saves, again, is just invaluable. But let me know what you think. Is this something you're going to get? Do you already have one of them? Did you find out anything that I didn't mention here? Drop me a comment and let me know. I want to thank you for watching, and be good.